each of you was born a winner with the seeds of greatness. I believe this so fervently that I wrote a book in 2019 called Step by Step 21 Steps to Enhance the Winner in You. And as you've heard, I am a marathoner and I used running as a marathon for life and how we can be a winner. So I appreciate you being here today. I appreciate you all having your screens on so I'm not talking to dark boxes. It really helps you out when you're the speaker to have that here. And thank you, Angie, for inviting me to be with you today. you know, before we begin, I realize that most of you don't know me, and I'd like to tell you just a little bit about me. My life changed abruptly on one winter day over 45 years ago. I was on a ski vacation with my husband in Austria. Before you get all excited and go, ooh, Austria ski vacation. Wow. Well, it really wasn't that big of a deal. He was in the Air Force, stationed in Germany. We got in the car, drove across the border, and voila, there we were in this beautiful, imagine, snow-capped little Austrian village, blue skies, idyllic little place, just what you've always pictured in scenes that you've seen. Well, the first day was not eventful, and I thought maybe I'm going to get the hang of this skiing thing after all. The second day, it didn't go so well. You see, my ski tips crossed one across the other as I was going down the hill. Now, that caused me to trip. Ordinarily not a big deal, but on that day, the bindings that held my boot to the ski did not release. And I can still hear that as the bones in my lower left leg shattered. The next thing I knew, I was waking up in the surgery center of an orthopedic surgeon, and I had a cast that went all the way from my toes up and a pin that extended all the way through my ankle and protruded out on either side of the cast. I spent over 6 months in a series of casts, but they never took that pin out, and they never let me put any weight on that leg. Finally, the big day came, and I was so excited I could go back to my normal 30-year-old active life. Well, that didn't go quite like I planned either. They
Mm.
took the cast off, and they helped me to my feet, and my heel missed hitting the floor by this much. That's how much my Achilles tendon had atrophied while I was in that cast. The kind, and I use that term loosely, army doctor looked at me and he said, well, you're always going to have a limp and you'll never run again. That was the day I decided I would become a runner. Now, that didn't happen overnight. It took many months of painful therapy. And I just ran recreationally for about 20 years. And then in my 50s, I decided I wanted to run a marathon. In doing that, I was running a swim school in Moreno Valley at the time. And in doing that, and that's really crazy, Susie shared with me Monday night that she thought maybe her kids had attended my swim school all those years ago. But I started getting really interested in wellness. And I started taking some supplements. They gave me more energy. They helped me with my running. And I decided, wow, this wellness is really going to be something that I'm going to enjoy. So I kind of reverted back to what I had gotten my master's degree in to begin with and began doing wellness. That was over 20 years ago. So that's how I got started today. But now, as Angeline told you, I inspire high achievers to better health through motivational speaking, a best-selling author internationally, and optimal health coaching. Excuse me. But today, I want to talk to you about how you can enhance your attitude to be the winner that you want to be. I know you're already winners, but we all need a fine tune up every once in a while. And just those reminders that we go, oh, yeah, I kind of forgot about doing that. I want to start doing that again. I'm going to use the acronym ENHANCE, ENHANCE, and you can just make some bullet points if you want. I'll actually share that at the end what the ENHANCE stands for. But for now, we're just going to go with ENHANCE. The E stands for elevate attitude. What do you do first thing in the morning? Are you here looking at this? trying to figure out what's happening in the world. Now, I must admit, yesterday morning, I was here looking at this because I gave up at midnight with the election and went, I can't handle this any longer. I got to go to bed. So, yes, every once in a while, I do look at my phone first thing, but I try really hard not to. What do you do? Experts tell us that our brains are in the alpha stage when we wake up in the morning. And whatever we put into those minds, those beautiful minds of ours, will impact the rest of our day. So I hope you're beginning with something that is positive and something that will help your attitude. For me, I begin with the word of the Lord. I have a friend in Colorado. We do the Bible app together, and we each go on and we read some scripture and a devotion, and then we make comments. And I'm just competitive enough that I want to make my comment before Michelle, and she's up an hour earlier than me. So that kind of puts the pressure on me. But
Mhm.
I have to be accountable. And that makes me be accountable because without being accountable, I can kind of get tempted because the Bible app's on my phone. And when I pick up my phone, oh my goodness, I can get into all kinds of trouble on my phone. So think about your attitude. It's crucial to how you live your day. Hang out with positive people, read uplifting stories, books, listen to podcasts. The other thing that I do is I usually, if I don't have to be at an early morning meeting, I walk every morning. And when I walk, I listen to positive podcasts. My favorite is Daily Hope by Rick Warren. And that just sets my mood for the day and kind of keeps me going. So you got to guard your attitude. This is not new information. The Apostle Paul told the Thessalonians back in the day that whatever you think about, focus on these things. And that's kind of a paraphrase of that really famous scripture that is in Philippians 4:4. I'm sorry, I said Thessalonians, that's Philippians. So that's the E. N. Nullify self doubts. We all have those, don't we? It's like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I can't, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And we live in a negative world when it's getting thrown at us all the time. And maybe somebody told you a long time ago that you couldn't do something, and you still have that in the back of your brain. I know Liliana can help you to get rid of those limiting things that you have going on. Had the pleasure of meeting her Monday night and learning about what she does. We have to do this for ourselves. We have to believe in ourselves and value ourselves. Psalm 139 tells us we are fearfully and wonderfully made. Wow, fearfully and wonderfully made. How's that for nullifying your self doubts? Several weeks ago, I was outside early in the morning, sitting beneath a big old pecan tree, and dawn was just beginning to break. All of a sudden, I noticed that this tree was loaded with black birds, all kinds of black birds all over the place. And I couldn't tell one bird from the other. They all looked the same to me. They were black birds. What's there different about black birds? But as the dawn began to break, the birds began to sing. And you know what? Each of those birds was singing a slightly different song. And I thought, wow, much are we like those birds? We have value. We've each been given a song to sing. And I believe that only you can sing the song that you have been designed to sing. So value yourself and nullify those negatives. That's the NH. Healthy habits. What kind of a health coach would I be if I didn't talk about healthy habits, right? So, what about healthy habits? Well, there are about, I don't know how many. I'm just going to say 100 different ways that you can eat healthy. Everybody's got a theory on how to eat healthy, don't they? But I want to give you some simple steps today that will really simplify the whole thing. At least it has for me. Take your plate, divide it in half of it's fruits and vegetables, the other half multi-grains, whole grains, and I mean, not half, quarter, healthy grains, and the last quarter protein. Pretty simple. But today, I want to talk about the half that's fruits and vegetables because the statistic is that 90% of us do not eat enough fruits and vegetables for optimal health. I can count boxes here and go, okay, but I'm sure you're much better than that 90% because you are all winners and you are all successful in what you do. But 90% of us don't. That's not my number. I didn't make that up. That's the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. And when they say something about that, then it's like, well, that could be true. Who knows? I don't know. I don't want to get political here. But how do we do this? Well, you've got that half of your plate fruits and vegetables, about 15% of it should be fruit, and the other 35% vegetables. Okay, fine, Jackie, I can do that. I eat that every day. But you get a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. Do you eat two of every color every day? That'd be two greens, two whites, two yellow oranges, two reds, and two blue purples each and every day. My guess is that wide variety is what trips us up, all of us. It's hard to do. I have a fruit basket that I usually show, and it doesn't work very well with my Zoom background, so I'm not going to hold it up. But it shows you the wide variety of fruits and vegetables and how you can eat those. So most of us get into a rut. Monday's broccoli, Tuesday's carrots, Wednesday's beans, whatever it is. And we just kind of go through that on a weekly basis and say, oh, I eat all the fruits and vegetables that I need to eat. Do you? Do you eat two of every color every day? Okay, as we're going today, I'm going to ask you to write down some things. First thing color I want to talk about is red. Now, red kind of looks like a heart, doesn't it? I have this pepper here, and it looks like a heart, doesn't it? And that's what it's good for. It's good for your heart. And for the men in our life, it's also good for our prostate. Everything in red helps you in those two different areas. That's why it's so important to have things that are red. So just write down a piece of paper, scrap paper, or you can write it in the chat if you want to. Doesn't matter. Then I can take a look at it and see where we are. But write down what you've had that's red. So let's talk about yellow orange. Now this orange here has 150 phytonutrients. That's plant nutrients. It's just a big word for plant. Phyto means plant. Nutrients, you all know what that means. But this has a lot of stuff in it that's really good for your health. So I want you to think about what you've had that's orange in the last, let's just say 24 hours, make it simple, because that's where you really begin to see I'm not eating a wide variety. So what's it do for you? Well, your mother told you eat your carrots, I'm sure. And that's one of the things it's good for. It's good for your eyes. It's also good for your immune system. Wow, here we are about to enter a flu season, I think. So immunity is really good. And I'm 80, so I'm always looking for things that help me to look less wrinkly. And those have things that help your skin and make your skin look healthy. That's yellow, orange. Then we have white. Now, I don't know about your neighborhood, but in my neighborhood, it seemed like this was skeleton year. Everybody had skeletons out. And that's what is good about white. It helps your skeletal system. So write down anything. I think I forgot to say, write down anything that was orange. Write down anything that you had. Put it in the chat that is yellow, orange, and then white. Write down anything that you had that's white. Okay, I got a question for you here. Is this banana? How many people think this would qualify as a yellow fruit? Anybody? You can raise your hand. Anybody think it would qualify as a white? How about yellow and white? Because it's both.
Yes.
Raise your hand. Wrong. I don't know about you, but I don't eat the peel. So it's only what's on the inside. But now I have a pear here somewhere, and a pear is what I call a twofer because it's a different color on the outside, depending on how ripe it is, yellow or green, and white on the inside. But here's a tip for you. You got to have a serving about the size of your flat of your hand for it to count as a serving. So you got to eat a lot of pear peels to get that as a serving. So write down anything that you've had that is white. And let's move to my favorite, blue purple. Why is blue purple my favorite? because it's brain power. And I don't know about you, but I need all the brain power I can get. When I have blueberries on top of my oatmeal in the morning, I'm fired up because I go, whoo, I can just kind of feel myself getting smarter. It's also good for your DNA, and it's a powerful antioxidant. What in the world is an antioxidant? That's a term we hadn't even heard of like 5 years ago. Now it's all over the place. Go back to my little pear here again. If I cut this pear in half, which I can't because it's fake, but if it were real, if I cut it in half, it would begin to turn brown, right? So that's oxidation. Okay, everybody sit up straight, take a deep breath. You've just oxidized your innards. Are you excited? No, you're not excited about oxidizing your innards. But because we breathe, and those of us who live here in Southern California, which is not all of us, but I think probably Sadia in Las Vegas has the same not so good air as we do in Southern California. And every time we breathe, we're oxidizing ourselves. So we need to eat powerful antioxidants, and those are the blue purples. The last but not least, green. And this is the thing that everybody does the best at. Most people eat green and they think that checks the box on eating vegetables. And they're good for you. They're good for your large organs, your liver, your lungs, your large cell organs. But they're only one of five different colors. And don't forget your herbs. You should be eating a half a cup of herbs every day. Now, what do you do with those herbs? Well, what I do is I just get some cilantro and some parsley, and I got buy those fresh at the produce stand, and I just chop them up and stick them in a quart jar. Uh, Get wash them, put them in a towel to dry them. Then after they're dry, chop them up, stick them in a quart jar, stick them in the refrigerator. So every time I cook, I just dump out the jar and put them in whatever I'm cooking because herbs are so good for you. And most people forget about them because it's like, wow, it's not a fruit or a vegetable, but they're critical for your health. So that's just a quickie on what you should eat. But I want to give you two secrets because I'm a supplement person. Because we don't eat as well as we should, we need to supplement. Even the American Medical Association says everyone should take a multivitamin, multimineral. Everyone. That kind of is pretty inclusive, isn't it? Everyone should. Why? Because it's not as healthy as it is. Things are not grown in a healthy as it was in even as I was growing up in the 50s. Used to be then that the soil was wider than my Zoom screen, and now the soil is only 7 inches. What happens with the reduction of soil? Reduction of nutrients. So we can't eat as well as we could eat. I can't feed my grandson as well as I ate when I was his age. So take a supplement, find out what you need. But there's two truths about supplements. One, it needs to be plant based. Why? Why do you want to put chemicals in your body when there are many manufacturers out there that have supplements that don't have any chemicals in them? They're organic, they're vegan, they're certified, and they're good. And that's the second tip on supplements. First tip is make sure that it is, excuse me, plant based. Second tip, make sure somebody besides a manufacturer says it has in it what it says it has in it. Why? Because there are people out there that are just sticking whatever in supplements, and the FDA does not regulate it. So you need independent certification on the supplement that you're taking. How do you find that out? Look at their website if it's not on the bottle. If usually it's right on the bottle, certified by whomever it's certified. So that's health, and in a nutshell, and now the A in enhance. Avoid negativity. We've just come through a pretty crazy time in our nation, haven't we? With a lot of name calling and a lot of stuff like that going on, and just not positive. I don't know about you, but I just kind of went off social media for the last couple of months because I just really didn't want to see either side lambasting and being negative and putting all this vitriol out on the internet. And I find that it impacts my attitude. I look at that and I kind of I get a little angry, and it's like, why? So you just have to kind of take a resolve to just do whatever you have to do to protect yourself. Many years ago, in when I was actually in my 40s, I read a book called See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. And in that book, he challenged people to go on a TV diet for a year. And of course, at that time, all we had was radio and television. I did the TV diet. And you know what? I am still on that diet today. I watch no network news. People will ask me, I was on a vacation with my sister in law, and she said, "What news channel do you watch?" Because she was trying to figure it out. She's really active in a political party. She was trying to figure it out. And I just looked at her and I said, "Read my book." "I don't do that, Cindy." And she just looked at me like, "What? You don't even know what channel the news is on?" No, I don't know. Why? Because you know what? I just don't want to go to bed with that. I Bible study with a group of ladies, and the one lady was telling us last night, "I watch the news every night at 11 o'clock before I go to bed." And I thought, oh, that is a really good thing to sleep on: murders, rapes, all that kind of stuff. No, thank you. I don't want to do that. So I challenge you, if you're into the news a lot, it doesn't matter which channel you watch. They're all negative. I like to make fun of CNN because it's so simple to do. Constantly negative news. But they're all negative. So you've got to do something to block that. And enhance, network everywhere. You're all business owners. You got to be able to talk about your business everywhere you go. Where do you go? I don't know. You can even talk about your business at the grocery store if you get skilled at lead in conversations so people ask you questions about your business. Get your elevator speech, or whatever you want to call it, down so that when someone asks you, "What do you do?" you don't stammer. You just can flow what it is that you do. Angie read mine to you. I have it as part of my bio, and you just have to know it. And you want to make it so it involves people and invites them in. Doesn't give them too much information, but it gives them enough so that they ask you more questions about yourself. So you want to engage people, talk to people everywhere you go, because you just meet people and they're fun and they're interesting, but you have to take the step to do that. C stands for change your self talk. Who's the most negative person you know? For most people, it's you. Researchers tell us that we have 80,000 thoughts going through our head in a day. Men, only 60,000, but we won't talk about that today. So, what is happening in those 80,000 thoughts that you have rambling around in your brain? Researchers also tell us that 80% of those are negative. So, you have to think about what you're saying and change that. Many people say, "I can't remember names." That's a popular one. I used to do that. And I thought, well, that's self defeating. If I'm always telling myself that, how is my brain ever going to be able to remember names? Now, I always remember the name of everyone I meet. Is that true? No, of course it isn't. I mess up, but I'm way better than I used to be because that's what I say to myself now. And I have gotten much better at learning names. Last but not least, my favorite of all the steps is encourage others. Say hello to everyone. I talked about this in networking, but say hello, smile, compliment. And if you meet me somewhere, I will invariably say to you, when you ask me, "How are you doing?" I always say, "Awesome and amazing." And I get the funnest, is that a word? I get the best reactions when I say that to people. Like at the grocery store, I'll say it to a checker, and invariably they'll say back to me, "I wish I could be that way." And I say, "Well, you can be. All you have to do is decide that you're going to be awesome and amazing." And after I have said that about 10 times in a day, I kind of am much more awesome and amazing than I used to be. Smile, compliment. I smile at you, you smile back at me. Everybody smile right now. Isn't that a beautiful screen? It is. And it makes everybody happy. It's the only thing you can give away and you can get back. Here's my Thessalonians quote: "Encourage one another and lift each other up, just as you are now doing." Angie told you that I am a marathoner. I've done 4. My first marathon was especially tough because, if you haven't guessed yet, I'm kind of a determined person. 3 weeks before that first marathon, I had emergency appendectomy surgery. And I was encouraged by the doctor who did the surgery to go ahead and run. Now, I believe he was heaven sent because he was a marathoner. He told me I could do it. He encouraged me. He wasn't like that doctor that told me I could never run again. He said, "You can do it." And he told me what to do to be able to run that marathon. When you run a marathon, I don't know, raise your hand if anybody's run a marathon here. Anybody? No? When you run a marathon, at some point you get tired. And it happens so frequently that there's a term for it. It's called hitting the wall. And all that means is you just can't take any more steps. You are so tired, it's like you've hit the wall and you can't go any further. Well, when I get tired, I throw my leg that was injured. And so it kind of goes around in a circle. It's hard to describe, but it goes around in a circle and it causes a pretty decent limp. It doesn't look pretty. So about mile 22, I'm running with a friend and she's going, "Can't you just feel those endorphins?" And I'm going, I'm not feeling them. And I was in a bit of pain. And we had said no negative. We can't give each other negative. We always have to encourage each other. So instead of saying, "I feel terrible," I said, "No, I'm not feeling those endorphins." And she said, "Well, you're throwing your leg again." I said, "I have to stop throwing my leg." And very soon, a man at the sidelines along the beach in Carlsbad looked at me. He saw I was struggling and he shouted at me, "You're looking good. Finish strong." Now, I knew I was not looking good, but that man gave me the incentive that I needed to finish those last 4 miles. And you know what? I don't know who that man was, but he encouraged me. And 20 years later, I'm still talking about the man at the Carlsbad Marathon who lifted me up and encouraged me when I was having a really tough time. Who do you need to encourage today? Think about it and try to encourage someone, because it's like the smile. When you encourage someone and lift them up, it lifts you up too. Think about these 7 steps. I hope that I've given you something to think about. Make a plan if there's one you want to do to change. Most of what I've done today comes from my book, Step by Step, 21 Steps to Enhance the Winner in You. I'll put the information on purchasing that book on Amazon in the chat, and I would love to have you purchase a copy of that. If I've said anything that resonates with you today, I would love to set up a time to chat with you and get to know you better. Because you've been here today, and I know you're all interested in eating 10 fruits and vegetables every single day, I'd love to give you this PDF that gives you the 5 colors, and it talks about what areas of the body they affect, and it lists all the vegetables. A lot of people take these and they put them on the refrigerator because they realize after listening to me that they really don't eat a wide variety. So all you need to do is just write your name, phone number, and email in the chat, and just write health. And then I will know that you would like me to email you one of these. That's my gift to you today, and I hope it will be valuable to you. Remember your name, phone number, and email in the chat, and I will send that to you. Or actually, I guess those are, if you're a GSFE person, you can just say you want one, and I can look it up and figure out how to send them to you. I'm a speaker looking for speaking opportunities. I'd love to be a speaker at your next event. Remember, you can enhance the winner in you.
Thank you, Jackie. That was awesome. But you know what? I missed one word. What was the N?
Which N? I have 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the second N after avoid negativity.
The second one is what is it?
Nutrition.
Network.
Oh,
there we go.
network. How could I miss that?
Network.
Yeah, I missed it.
I just blanked out there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for texting us.
to see if we pay
Yes,
attention.
that's right.
Yeah, and she tested me too.
I wanted to see if you were listening, Jackie.
No, I was too busy talking, Susie.
No, that was awesome. Thank you so much for all sharing all those gems. Okay, at